Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again. Actually, we're not back again. We're here for the first time with Delicious in Dungeon. I'm just so used to saying back again that it just sort of happened that way. But no, we're here for the first time with Delicious in Dungeon. Basically, this is continuing on my medieval fantasy phase that I am currently going through. We've done previously the previous show that we watched before this in this time slot was a free run. If you haven't watched my free run reactions, go watch those, as well as I'm also doing Black Clover right now. And also, even though it's not fantasy, it is technically medieval. Vinland Saga has also put me in this mood, so I've been watching a lot of medieval stuff lately, and I just thought, screw it, let's just continue that. Let's watch Delicious in Dungeon. I don't know too much about this, other than there is food. It's about food. It's about making food, I'm assuming in a dungeon. And yeah, I know that ProZD is in this. I assume he's Mr. Beardman here that's in the image on Netflix. So, yeah, we are going to be watching the dub. So for all of you people who just vehemently hate dubs and wish that they would be completely eradicated from the face of the earth, you can leave now, because we don't do that here. I watch dubs, I watch subs, I am whatever I feel like, basically. And I try to keep a good balance of dub and sub here on the channel now. So Black Clover, we're doing sub. So Delicious in Dungeon, we're doing dub. Which, hence why I also brought up ProZD being in this, because I know he's in the English dub. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect, though, from this show. But this was sort of the other big fantasy anime that came out around the time that Freerun did. So watched Freerun, makes sense to watch this. So I do also know there's another fantasy anime. It's not out yet, but I've heard about. I can't remember what it was called though. But I've heard hype around that, and I think there's an anime adaptation coming out this year. I think we might check that out too, just because I'm in a fantasy mood. So, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, in the past year, I've just gotten in a huge medieval fantasy phase. Honestly, I think it is because of shows like Vinland Saga and Freerun. Even again, though Vinland Saga is not fantasy, but it's still medieval. So to me, it counts. And I've been playing Zelda games for years and years and years, and just recently I'm getting into Fire Emblem, which is also medieval fantasy. So I don't know. I'm just enjoying it. And that's just where we are with the channel right now, is we're just going to watch a bunch of medieval fantasy. So yeah. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment. It's not here on the YouTube video because you guys know how strict the Japanese companies are with footage on YouTube. So just head down in the description or into the pinned comment. There's a link. It'll say watch the reaction highlight here, and that will take you to the reaction. It's just a normal reaction where I've got footage and it's edited and it's like 10 minutes long, and we just watch the episode and have a good time. If you want to watch the full length, that's also available for free just on this episode. Normally it's on my Patreon page, but I do put it for free at the beginning of every season, so that will also be down in the description. It'll say watch the full length reaction here. You can click on that if you want to watch the full unedited reaction. There's no footage, so you're going to have to bring your own footage. Basically, hit play on the video. There'll be a countdown to 3, 2, 1. That's when you hit play, presumably on Netflix or whatever other sites that you might find Delicious in Dungeon on. And no judgment here. I use those sites too. So I'm just on Netflix for this. But yeah, with that said, why don't we just jump right into this episode of Delicious in Dungeon? Here we go. Also, am I going to regret watching this right before lunch? I'm probably going to be hungry. Oh well, maybe it makes it better. Let's get going. I am hungry now. You know, it's funny because normally, like I said, this is replacing Freerun. So when I would normally record Freerun would be after lunch. But today, just, things are basically just working out where I'm doing this before lunch. And so now I'm very hungry. And this maybe wasn't the show to watch before lunch. I don't know. Their names are right there in the description. That's good. Speaking of, though, I could look up their voice actors. I mean, I know that Senshi is voiced by ProZD, but I could look up the others. So, Leos, Damien Haas. I've never heard of him before, so that's interesting. And I really have not seen him in anything. All right, well, there's always a first. So, then there's Marcille. Marcille is voiced by Emily Rudd. Oh, she's Nami in the live-action One Piece. Huh. Boy, I never would have guessed that. Okay, that's cool. Is this like one of her first dubbing roles? That's really cool. Wow. That's pretty cool. Good for her, and she's doing pretty good. Chilchuck, his voice sounded really familiar. Casey Mongio? Emporio. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. He was Emporio in Stone Ocean. Yeah, that's... I don't even think I need to go any further than that. That's like all I need to know. He was Emporio in JoJo Stone Ocean, so... anyone else? I mean, Senshi I already know. Yeah. Senshi I already know is ProZD. Shit, I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel, you know? And he's also... I'm currently watching Pokemon Horizons, and he's one of the villains in that, so... So that's pretty cool. Is there anyone else? I guess Fallon? I guess I could look up her, even though she didn't have many lines. Lisa Raymold? The only thing I've got for her is she plays Ira Shiratori in Dandadan. I'm about halfway through the first season of Dandadan. I started it, I haven't gotten back to it yet, but I'm also watching it in the sub, so I unfortunately don't know her performance in that, but alright. This is weird. What a weird show. I like it though. It's very different from what I watched with Free Run, but I like it. It's definitely, I will say, I like, because I mean I have also watched a couple of the kind of trashy seasonal anime fantasy stuff, and sometimes it's isekai, sometimes it's not. This, I can understand why this popped off. Like I can already see it. It's not trashy. Let's start with that. But I like this. This is unique. It really takes its time with the food. It's interesting too, because it's like this reminds me of there's another anime called Love is Like a Cocktail, I think is what it's called, and they're short episodes. They're like 3-minute episodes, but every episode basically has a different alcoholic drink that like the main guy makes for his wife, and I thought that was really fun. On top of being sort of a wholesome short romance anime, I just like this guy. Like they always do this thing where they show exactly what he does, the ingredients he uses, and how he makes this drink for his wife. And so I like that. So it kind of reminds me of that, of like, well, let's show you, exactly how we're going to make this food. It's like, it's like the Food Network, basically, except medieval fantasy anime. And it's also a lot shorter. Like, it's not the, them actually cooking it up and like, wow, that's going to take a minute. But they do that, too. They actually do that, where it's like, well, while that cooks up, I made this earlier so that we can, get to the result of it and not have to wait 40 minutes, and... They actually did that, which was funny. So, but it's also funny because it's like, I don't know, because it's like, well, but these aren't real foods, These aren't real foods because, it's all these monster stuff, it's these, monster bodies, monster guts, even monster fruit and vegetables and stuff. Like, it's all monster stuff. But at the same time, I guess they're pretty much making it into real stuff, you know? I mean, it's like I don't know, it also reminds me of Breath of the Wild. I didn't really get into cooking in Breath of the Wild that much, you know? Like, I did enough, but I didn't do a lot of cooking in Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom, so, but it reminds me of that, of people just, throw stuff into a pot, it does the shake and the dance, and then Link's got some food, you know? So I like that. And this is an interesting, it's an interesting thing to put in this setting, too, this whole, to put it in this, this medieval fantasy setting. Although I will say, is this, like, they didn't do the whole thing of, like, well, we're gonna have, skills and the stat screen and stuff. Like, I've seen that in a couple isekais, where it's like they have the stat screens and stuff like that, and those are generally pretty trashy, but they don't really do that here. But I swear there was one point where Marcille was like, when she got hit by the slime, she was like, oh, this is how I died the first time, and it's just like, I don't know, like they have this whole, like, infrastructure of this, like, adventuring guild, basically, where it's like, oh, this used to be the crypt of the dungeon, now it's basically an area of commerce, so that so you can trade stuff, get food, and then go down into the dungeon and keep going. So, which is really funny. I like that stuff. But yeah, but like, is there going to be stuff like that? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know where we're going with this. Like, because we're trying to go get Leos' sister. But, like, I don't know. I don't know how long that's going to take. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll do a next episode. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's interesting. I also like how, I also like the logic of it. Like, it's funny because it's like, it's basically like applying some logic to the medieval fantasy, of like, well, if there are monsters down there, these monsters, they eat the herbivores that are down there. The herbivores have to eat plants. For plants to exist, there has to be water and there has to be sunlight. Therefore, it would make sense for a human to be able to survive down there as well. And he's entirely right, because, they go to the second floor of this dungeon, and there's, like, sunlight coming through the trees. But they're still underground, So he was right, but it's just kind of weird. It's kind of goofy, But he's exactly right, and I like applying, that little bit of logic to it. Despite being a medieval fantasy, like applying some like human logic to like, how does this work, So yeah, so I like that. I like Senshi. He's fun. Definitely. I can see him being, this iconic character. Like he's really cool. Just showing up, making food out of monsters. So. And man, when he was like, cutting apart the scorpion and like getting at the little, like the insides and like cutting the little claws off and stuff, honestly, it just gave me flashbacks to, A, every Father's Day, and B, every single one of my dad's birthdays. Because we always, for his birthday, which is in December, and for Father's Day, which is obviously in, June? It's at some point. I always know when it comes up, but I never remember what month it is specifically, if you ask me. But for both of those days, we always take him to Red Lobster, and he gets food there. He gets whatever the ultimate fucking crab shit is. I don't think that's what it's called on the menu, but he'll always get that, and we just have to sit there and watch him just take this crab apart, or lobster. It might be. No, I think it's a crab. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't eat it. I don't know. I just bumped the microphone like an idiot. I don't know. I always get like the mozzarella sticks, and I always eat the biscuits. Have you ever had a biscuit at Red Lobster? Oh, it's so good, man. I don't know. I don't eat much seafood. I'm a picky eater, by the way. I am a picky eater, and but I mean, I've come. The thing is, at this point in my life, I've come to the realization that it's like, I am a picky eater, but I'm also incredibly willing to try stuff, you know? Like, I'm totally willing to try stuff now, where, like, beforehand, you know, probably 10 years or so ago, 10 years ago, I was just finishing up high school, and I was probably just more stubborn, just being like, no, I don't want to eat that stuff, whatever. Now I'm just like, you know what? I don't even know if I've ever tried it, so I'm like, I'll try stuff, sure, why not? You know? Like, that's kind of where I am in my life, where it's like, I am a picky eater, and I don't like everything, but I am at least willing to try, you know? I'm at least willing to try stuff. So, like, if I was down there in the dungeon with them, like, I would be perfectly willing to try this monster food. I might be a bit skeptical, too, to be honest, where, you know, I'd look at it and it's like, I don't know about this, but if he serves it up and they're like, oh yeah, this is good, I'd be like, okay, well, I'll try it. So I like to when Chilchuck is like, oh, you know, wow, when you cut the mushroom man like this, you know, it actually looks a bit more like food. And Marciel's just standing there, just no, just no, it doesn't. It doesn't look like food. So that was funny. I also like when they say too, like, oh well, why do they keep letting noobs down in the dungeon? You know, if you're scared of a mushroom man, fucking mushroom man. I don't have the mushroom man Yu-Gi-Oh card to show, but that's an iconic Yu-Gi-Oh card, mushroom man. It's not, but yeah. So that was interesting. I like the team. I like the team. They're very different from the team in Free Run. But yeah, so we got Leos, the warrior leader, Chilchuck, the pickpocket, basically the lockpicker. We've got Marciel, the mage, and Senshi, the dwarven chef. So I could also see, I think also probably because the reason I like him is coming off of Free Run where we had Eisen. It's just kind of the same thing. There's something about medieval fantasy dwarves that are cool, you know? So, I don't know, he just seems like a cool guy. So, I like him. But yeah, next time, I don't know, I guess, like, I don't know how long it's going to take to get back to that dragon, but it's interesting. Are they going to be able to save the sister, Fallon? And if they do, if they're able to save her, I guess it makes sense that she would join the team, but I don't know. This was interesting. I really enjoyed it. I love how fun it is, how fun and happy it is, and despite the fact that Fallon got eaten by a dragon. But yeah, I'm curious to see where we are going next time. But that is basically it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go get some lunch. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my delicious and dungeon reactions, once the playlist fills out a little bit, as well as another playlist with all my free run reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.